Welcome back, class, to another lesson in Java. We'll be covering functions, or as they're called in Java, methods. And then we'll take another look at Java classes, a little introduction. I know we've touched on this before, but we're going to ease our way into it as we've, covered so many topics in the class now. We'll also be covering methods or functions. So those are going to be all the ingredients we need, right, to understand how those Java recipes, right, those classes work, those blueprints. So a little overview for today's lesson. We'll introduce a little bit of a few topics. We'll review them right as we always do. We'll talk about functions again, synonym for functions in Java's methods, and then of course we'll do a small introduction to Java classes, which is going to help us understand functions a bit more actually. So for our introduction, a little bit of review. Remember scope. Scope is where you're able to use a variable, right? So wherever you declared that variable, that's the scope of that variable. With methods, scope's going to be a little bit more complex. We're going to have a little bit more control over the scope of methods. But as far as variables go, wherever it was declared, right, those brackets, that block, that's where you can use it. The if, else if, else statement, so it's a control structure. Switch statement, another example of a control structure that can make decisions right in your code. Looping statements, another control structure. Primitive data type. So we're going to revisit data types because it turns out for methods, much like variables, we have to tell them what type to input, to output, etc. And then non-primitive data types, as we get closer and closer to writing our own classes, we're going to be writing our own non-primitives, right? Remember, a non-primitive is a object, and then objects in Java are classes. So we'll be able to write our own classes in the next couple lessons. And then of course, remember everything in Java is an object, right? Because it's an object-oriented programming language, and we build objects using primitives. So if you want to make something more complex, you put your primitives together to represent, anything you want in the real world, the fantasy world, right? Anything you can imagine. Of course, here's an example, right, of something we might represent in Java. We have our classic car example. So yeah, that's it for our introduction. Next up, we'll be looking at functions.